Welcome to our session, install, deploy, and manage applications using VMware and Puppet together. And I admit, I lied when I submitted that session description. It's not just applications, but it's about streamlining your infrastructure as well as application with VMware and Puppet. So welcome to the session, and thanks for joining us. My name is Pradnesh Patil, and I'm part of vCloud Automation Center product management team. The agenda I have for today is overview of the vCloud Automation Center and what it can do for you. Second, how we work with Puppet and what are some other touch points there, how you can use both solutions together. And third, I have got a demo to show you how you can use Puppet OS configuration, application configuration to configure your environments with VMware software. So as most of us know, VMware started as a virtualization of the server platform, the virtualization of a lot of computing power. And we are extending that virtualization to further. We are extending it to networking with our NSX suite. We are extending it to storage, vXAN. And on top of it, on top of your hardware resources, we are providing intelligent abstraction layer. So as a customer, you can buy best of breed hardware or the hardware that suits your needs. And on top of it, we provide that intelligent virtualization abstraction layer, and you can use the management capabilities of different suites as well. So on top of that intelligent abstraction layer, we are providing policy-based mechanism. We are providing automation of the self-servicing, and there are different areas we are mainly targeting. So cloud automation. I want to provision my VMs, application, and middleware quickly without any lag in there. So that's cloud automation. Second, I provisioned all these VMs. I provisioned on public cloud. But how exactly these deployments are doing? What's the health of that? That's we are targeting with our cloud operations suite. Third thing, what we have been seeing a lot is nowadays CIOs are reporting to CFO. So entire IT organization is reporting to CFO. And when that's happening, what that CFO is going to ask about? He's going to ask about how much this is going to cost me, how much my finance department is using for that IT infrastructure deployment. So that we are targeting with IT business suite. So I talked about network, storage, computing virtualization. And when I talk with a lot of people, when I do sessions like this, I get questions. So you are from VMware, right? So your management products work only on the VMware. Actually, the answer is no. Our management product work across different environments. So they work across virtualization environments. Of course, we support vSphere, but we support KVM. We support Microsoft Hyper-V. That's virtualization platform. What about physical servers? We support physical servers too. So IBM Fujitsu servers we support as a cloud management infrastructure endpoints. You go a little bit up, public clouds. So we support public clouds. Of course, we support our in-house public cloud service, vCloud Air, but we also support Amazon Web Services, and we are planning to integrate more other public clouds like Rackspace, Windows Azure. So anybody can deploy virtual machines quickly nowadays, but what about application, what about application configuration? What about middleware configuration? So with our customers, a lot of the times we are seeing the challenges are there. I can provision VMs quickly, but the application configuration and middleware configuration is taking a lot of time, and the consumers, my business users, are not really happy about it. And other than agility related with the application configuration and middleware configuration, there are some other challenges. For example, control. I provisioned this environment to this group of people, and it's over provisioned, or maybe they don't have that business need anymore. How I can take that back? So that's the next set of challenges we are seeing. Extensibility. I'm using cloud automation solution to do this. And I have a different IPAM solution. I have a different CMDB server. But the problem is they're not talking with each other. So day to day, as a system admin, a lot of time is taken by doing these manual things. so that these services are in sync with each other. That's the next set of challenges. Other than that, inconsistencies. So I'm part of infrastructure team. I don't like application team, or just because of business silos, our processes don't involve talking with them that much. So how can we have standardization? And just because a lot of standardization is not there, we are facing downtimes, and that's it. And those are the set of challenges we are seeing right now in the industry. And let me show you how we are targeting this, what are some of the things we are doing there, and how we can involve. So with the challenges, right, when I say vCloud Automation Center, we are trying to have a cloud management platform as a VMware across the cloud automation, cloud operations, and cloud business. And that platform can help you, doesn't matter at which stage you are. So you can be at the initial level where you're just struggling with infrastructure provisioning, or you can be highly automated right now and you're just trying to get the standardization. So all those green dots there on the nice graph I have, you can be any one of those dots, and we can come in as a VMware and we can help you getting that standardization and automation across your entire environment. So that entire platform, the idea is we work as a service. And for this, as a service, the next hot thing, whenever my R&D comes to me, I have got this really cool thing, and the next question I ask is, can we do this as a service? So that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to make IT as a broker of different services, where your infrastructure can be provisioned to your users as a server. Your middleware can be provisioned to your consumers as a service. And not just infrastructure middleware separately, just combine everything, create that 3-tier stack and just provision it in a one go. And on top of it, when I say provisioning, of course, everyone shouldn't be having same access, right? So on top of it, we can apply different policy-based architecture, and then different teams based on roles can control who gets access to which provisioning part. And along that line, we are doing infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, so based on your needs, desktop as a service, X as a service. So what's X as a service on the deck? That's really a mystery. So that X stands for anything. Anything. I have customers who want to have Hadoop as a service, Hadoop cluster provisioning, Hadoop clusters as a service. Or I know a guy, his entire job is taking backups of the different systems they have. And he was just frustrated with his job, right? And he was even thinking about switching careers. And when we showed them this, and you can expose your backup as a service, as a self-service catalog item, so different teams can just go hit the request and the backup will be done. So he was so happy just to see this, not because there is a threat to his job profile, but now he can focus his time on doing something more meaningful rather than routine machine job of taking backups every day. So that's how we are thinking how to evolve this space and enable different IT administrators to do meaningful things. And this is how it works like. So you have a stack of different resources, physical, virtual, cloud, and you have these different types of users. Your HR users can be different from your application developers. So the idea, we have this concept of reservations. You carve out different pieces of these stacks and assign them to different business groups. So they will be able to provision only in that environment. For example, your dev test environments, you want to use cheap hardware for that, you can do it. And for your production environment, you can save all those SSDs, that kind of thing. And on top of it, you can change even the different workflows. And when I say workflow, imagine a standard dev test use case, right? Just deploy, test, quickly publish, that's it. But if it comes to production environment, you need to have many approvals, even you have to archive it. So I have some customers who are federal customers, right? Uncle Sam. They need to archive environments for 7 years. So this system, that workflow is very fluid. You can design it as per your business needs, and you can use it with your rest of environments. And for this concept, we are using the concept of service blueprint, which is basically the definition of how your entire environment is planned, what are some of the policies, cost profiles associated with. And I will show more of that, how those service blueprints work. So I was talking about having different business groups. And just for the sake of simplicity, I'll keep it simple as ABC. It can be HR, finance, application teams. But in your situation, as per your business, it can be something different. So ABC business groups, you have this your resource pool, public, private, maybe hybrid pool. And on top of it, you do different resource reservations for these groups. And you tie it in with the service blueprint. So you deploy the application or entire stack, and then you have to manage it. And so some of the data operations, you deploy the application, you need to scale in, scale out. So those operations and which people are permitted to do those operations. So those definitions, those are defined there. I'll go more in detail, and I'll show you how exactly it looks like in a bit. So this is how blueprint looks like. So imagine you are planning to build a house, right? You have this nice piece of land, you want to build a house. What do you do first, right? You have this land, you go to architect, make me a plan so that we can start building house on this. We are following the same concept with this. You are trying to provision a 3-tier application, and you first create the plan for this. And this is the blueprint canvas we have with our vCloud Automation Center solution. You can drag and drop different components. Let it be MySQL server, your web server, load balancer server. Now there we have touch points with Puppet. So for example, here you want to use Puppet module from Puppet Forge to configure your MySQL server. Then on the right hand side, as you can see in services, you can do quickly search as a Puppet. It will show up all of the modules available. You drop there and you create that plan. And not just dragging and dropping, right? When you are using Puppet module to do MySQL configuration, there are a lot of orchestration that needs to happen. So for example, your application needs to know your database username, password, port number. So that runtime orchestration, VCSC, vCloud Automation Center, will do it for it. Not just that, you can define dependencies. So for example, your application is dependent on web server, or your web server is dependent on your load balancer. So those arrows you see on the slide I have right now, those are the dependencies. So you can define dependencies. Once that planning is done, you can publish this as a self-service catalog item. So consumers who want this 3-tier application stack, just go there, hit the request button. VCAC does the underlying magic, and this will be provisioned for them. And I'll show you in a bit how that self-service catalog item exactly looks like. But that's basically the idea is, and not just the provisioning, doing different data operations. For example, I did this provisioning, and later I want to tear down. So some of you can be Puppet Enterprise customers, right? When we do tear down, you want to take off those nodes from the Puppet master list. That will free up your licenses. So we are integrating at that level as well. And this integration with the Puppet modules right now, it's at open source and enterprise level both. So you don't have to be Puppet Enterprise customers to use this level of integration. And the next big thing with the DevOps, right? DevOps practice, I see a lot of people in the industry are practicing DevOps, where they try to move the different artifacts between different environments. And we are planning to support this functionality as well, where different artifacts can travel from one environment to another. So you have dev, test, prod, and that's not just it. When you have dev, test, prod, I have this customer, major financial customer, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are carrying their credit cards right now in your wallets. They have this dev test environment, and something is working in dev environment and it's not working in test environment. And they spend countless hours just to do that debugging, like what changed between my dev and test. So when I showed them the drift detection and remediation that you can do with Puppet and how we integrate with it and how we show the visibility, they were like super happy. This is great. This is what we were looking for. If you had done this earlier, you could have saved hundreds of hours of our engineering teams. So that's where we are trying to go. oops, little bit ahead. So we totally understand when we are talking about cloud management platform, right? We need to integrate with all of the other systems. So sometimes customer use ServiceNow and they get these help requests, and then they want to use VCAC as sort of backend provisioning engine. So that can be done. So the way to do it is just call VCAC RESTful APIs, and it will do the underlying magic for it. Service Designer. So I talked about having different custom services, database as a service, backup as a service, Hadoop cluster as a service. You might have a special X as a service in your environment, and you can expose it through our advanced service designer. And the third important way we have to integrate with other systems is via VCO workflows. So in the VCO workflows, you can practically integrate with any type of third-party application systems. And for this, we are developing different plugins by working with partner together. So we are working with Puppet R&D team together right now to develop the Puppet plugin, which will be exposed on our cloud management marketplace, and this plugin is going to work with open source and enterprise versions both. And not just Puppet, we provide plugins with IPAM solutions like InfloBlocks, CMDB solutions, ServiceNow, and there are a lot of other areas too. For example, we provide integrations with different monitoring systems. And if your particular use cases are out of our plugin zone, those plugins can be built out by our professional services as well. And if you have in-house VCO workflow, which is our orchestration engine expertise, you can build those workflows as well. So the idea is integrate everything and have your cloud management platform do things for you. And with the plugin model, right, the interesting thing is the plugin and main cloud management platform, they are loosely coupled. So the partner can rev up, the Puppet can release the next version, and you don't have to really upgrade the VCAC. They will just work together just fine. That's the idea with the entire plugin model. And I promise showing the self-service catalog item, right? So this is how it looks like. So we apply top-level policy-based architecture. You can see different catalog items exposed. So it can be as simple as I want Linux VM with all the OS configuration, or it can be 3-tier application base. You hit those grade request button, and that will be provisioned to you. And you can apply policy-based structure. So your HR user might see totally different catalog compared to your application developers. And I have customers who have number of self-service catalog items, and just to organize this better, on the left-hand side, we are providing these buckets, so infrastructure applications, so that it's easier to manage the self-service catalog. And this doesn't exactly have to look like this. You can personalize this based on your company, so you can have a nice logo up there, which will give more personalized look to this self-service catalog. And of course, there can be different custom services. For example, database as a service, it can be exposed there, or desktop as a service. We have customers who are VMware Horizon customers, and they want to expose desktop as a service to a user here. User clicks a button, he gets a new desktop for his work needs. And this is a list of some of the partners we are working with. The idea with the partner integration is, as a VMware, you don't have to worry about that manual integrations. We work with the partners, we develop those plugins, and the beauty of this thing is you get a single point of support. So anything goes wrong, you call VMware Support Center. And it's a very loose coupling, so anything can rev up independent of each other. And I'll quickly do the overview of now how VMware and Puppet are working together. So as most of you know, as a VMware, we have $70 million investment in Puppet. We have a lot of touch points in the different areas, at the infrastructure level, at the cloud management level, at the public cloud services level. And the idea is, it's not just R&D effort together. We are doing go-to-market together, where our marketing teams, our product management teams are working together, so we can give that best breed of integration to our joint customers. And so at the infrastructure level, we have integration with the vSphere ASX level, cloud management, I just talked about it, and even we have integration at the vCloud hybrid server. So this is sort of our architecture diagram. What you see in the purple, it's a Puppet stuff. So you will be able to use all of those Puppet Forge modules with the VMware software. So you want to do middleware configuration, or you want to do drift remediation. We are going to provide that integration. And on top of it, you have the self-service catalog. For example, you want to expose something like change Puppet interval from 30 minutes is the standard, right? Change Puppet interval to 20 minutes. Expose this as a self-service catalog item. Your admin team hits request, and that happens. So that kind of thing, even the policy-based architecture right now, anybody can use Puppet, and there is no standardization. So by using it with the cloud management platform together, you can apply policy-based infrastructure. You can make sure the standardization is happening across your Puppet nodes. And this is not just standard Puppet engine, right? You are able to use even all of that nice content, the goodness of Puppet Forge community. So all of those modules can work with the VMware solution. And that's enough of the slides, I guess, guys. Let's quickly take a look at the demo and how this is working together. So I recorded this demo just to make sure we don't have the network problems or anything like that. And this is how the vCloud Automation Center looks like. It runs through your web browser. We quickly do a login, and here is the catalog item. Quick how it looks like. So very simple use case I'm showing in a demo right now. I want a Linux VM with all the OS configurations, and I want to install some applications on top of it, and how I can do it. And this integration, we are going to expose this out of the box integration via plugin, but right now this can be done by our professional services as well. So your user comes here, hits request, and then they need to specify few parameters. One is across the VM, so how much memory do you want, how many processors do you want, and that kind of thing. And then they go ahead and hit for what are some of the Puppet classes they want. And here we are using that concept of bunching different groups together. So I want this 10 applications, and I can't really ask users to combine all of this 10. So we are doing here WordPress, so you can just press WordPress, and then we will take care of underlying classes with that. So they just submitted the request here, and we are going to show you the vSphere, like in the vSphere, how it's provisioning a VM from the template they have right now. So once that VM is provisioned at the vSphere level, then the vCenter orchestrator kicks in. That's how the plugin is working, and then it will do different things for you. And I'll show you in a bit. Yesterday I was manning the booth, and I talked with a customer. So they want to provision a VM, and they want Puppet to do some things, but in between they want to configure their network. So they want to get some IPs assigned, some their business specific needs. So these workflows can be customizable. So you want to have a VM and then Puppet doing things together, but in between you can just inject custom workflows as per your business needs. So this is how it looks like. So when that VCO workflow kicks in, this is actually a different screen. So if you want to see exactly what VCAC magic, how it is happening, you can go there and you can quickly check what are some other things happening. And this is totally customizable. So you can have if-else conditions, okay, times out, do this. And we are providing some of the out-of-the-box workflows, but you can build more and more workflows there as well. And in the screen below, it's just the timestamp. I just fast forwarded this, but it shows different things it's doing right now. So with the VCO, right, you can design different workflows, and the idea is it can be anything. It can be integration with even your, you want to integrate with your monitoring system. For example, you are using Graphite to do that monitoring. You can quickly build a VCO workflow. All of your information about your environment will be quickly routed to that monitoring system, and you can have that level of integration. So the power on is complete, right? And provisioning, as I told you earlier, is just a first step of that cycle. You want to do more and more things. For example, you want to, as the demo is showing here, you want to add more classes. It changed later. I want to just add more classes. And we call it data operation. That can be done. So now in this example, I'm adding more classes, more Puppet classes on the same node. So that's the concept of the data operation we are developing. And this is the Puppet console. Quickly, it shows the deployment of that node and the different classes installed on that node. And this is a tuned up WordPress environment. And this is actually recorded, but it went successful when we recorded it. And then you can have your WordPress application with just a click of button. And that was initial alpha level of functionality. Imagine it being a lot more complex and advanced when we release that plugin with Puppet together. So in a nutshell, I would like to quickly do the summary of what we just talked about. So with vCloud Automation Center, you get the self-service catalog. It talks with different infrastructure endpoints. So it talks with public clouds, virtualized cloud, virtualized environment, and not just VMware. It talks with KVM, Hyper-V, and the public clouds like Amazon, vCloud Air. On top of it is the self-service catalog item. You can apply policy-based engine so that you can control which catalog items are being accessed by which users. And the blueprint designer, where you can just plan your entire environment and get it provisioned or expose it as a self-service catalog item. That's in a nutshell about the vCloud Automation Center and how it's working with Puppet at the infrastructure, like OS configuration layer, and how it works with Puppet to do OS and middleware configuration. And at this point, we are open to questions. So with me, I have my R&D team here as well. So I have Danny Holzman and Brad Anderson. And feel free to ask any super technical questions, because I'm right now feeling very confident because our R&D architects are here. Okay, go ahead.
So it looks like the Puppet metadata, where all the modules and all that good stuff is feeding into vCAC. How is that connected? Does vCAC pull into the Puppet database, or is it the other way around? How does that?
Sure, great question. So the question is how exactly vCAC and Puppet are talking with each other, right? So the idea is via vCAC, when we try to do that blueprint designing, we do the query to the Puppet master, and we get that big list of different classes which are present on the Puppet master. And we show you that list. When I showed you that blueprint designer canvas, we show you that list so that you can just drag and drop those different classes there. And not just classes, we read into those modules and we identify which parameters those classes need. And in the block below, sorry, I didn't have it on my screenshot, you can even specify different parameters which are needed for the orchestration. Please go ahead.
Sure, you mentioned a lot about the OS configuration and even some of the middleware components. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of developer deploying something like WarFiles or other custom applications on top of?
Yes, actually, let me see if I can quickly go back. So in this blueprint designer, right, it's not just middleware configuration. On the right top side, top corner, you see different application components. There you can have different WAR files, EXEs or jar files that you can just drag and drop as well. So you drop in a module for your web server. On top of it, you can drop in the application. And it can be as custom as SQL script to configure your MySQL server. You can even expose it as a part of this UI, and you can drop it there so that when actual deployment happens, it can do all that configuration with application. Yes, yes. So the arrows you see on the blueprint designer, those are dependencies. For example, your application is dependent on your web server, of course, right? You can do that dependency. Or application is dependent on something else, the third external service that you have in case in your environment. You can have that dependency as well. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so does this assume that AutoSign is turned on and you have to have the agent baked into the template?
That's also another good question. I must apologize, I didn't cover that in my presentation. So the question is whether agent has to be baked in your environment. Did I get it right? So that's not true. So when you do that deployment, like this plan, and when you hit deploy or publish as a self-service catalog, we install the agent. We install the agent on these different nodes. We get it certified with Puppet Master so that you don't have to worry about all of that.
Okay, so AutoSign is turned off rather than in that case for the certificates? So you guys make a call to Puppet to sign the cert?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this functionality that you're demonstrating here, is this available today in VCAC 6.1?
So that's a VCA workflow, and frankly, that's alpha level plugin functionality that we are building with Puppet. It's not available right now, but if you really have a business need for it, if you can't wait, our professional services can build something similar for you right now.
Okay, do you have a release date on the plugin?
I'm being recorded. Maybe let's talk offline, and I can give you the information. Please, Lastro.
So following up to that, the earlier question, if I've got a war file, I've got version 1.1 released already, I want to release 1.2, I have to come back in here, change which war file is going out in order to be able to deploy the environment?
Another great question. So the question is, if my WAR file changed in the blueprint, how do I accommodate that? So for this, we are following this concept of blueprint versioning. Frankly, just because of the sake of time, I couldn't show everything. So you can create different versions of the blueprint. And one version can have previous version of the WAR file, and the second version, which you create from the previous version, it can have latest and greatest application.
One other question about the middleware configuration. If I'm building the SQL server and then I need to get the IP address of that injected into my Tomcat web application because it needs to get the URL.
Yeah.
How is that integration done? How is that new IP address, the ephemeral IP address for that environment, how is that made known to my app server so it knows how to talk to me?
So if I understand right, you are changing the application.
I'm doing a new deployment. For each deployment, I'm getting a new instance of SQL Server with an unknown IP address at design time. When I hit deploy, I'm going to get an IP address from my SQL Server. I have to let my application server know that IP address. How is that dependency managed? How is that value injected?
Oh, okay. Okay, I guess I got it. So that's I think that piece what we call is as a runtime orchestration, right? So whenever something changes with your application server or database server, they need to know without you interrupting and telling them exactly what has changed. And definitely that's another capability of the orchestration engine. So when we define these dependencies and when we define the orchestration, that information, that orchestration, that's VCAC's underlying magic, that it will do it for you. Any more questions? Please go ahead.
So I have a couple of questions. One, the configuration drift that you went over, I really would be interested in knowing
Sure, sure. So the question is how exactly configuration drift happens. So I was earlier in the presentation giving the example of the financial company that I work with, and it can be as simple as anything. For example, you have dev environment and then you have an application on top of it which needs to use the FTP server, right? Your FTP server usually runs on port number 22. And in a test environment, you are having exact same setup, but somebody changed it to port number 30. So the drift detection is during the Puppet runs, it will detect, based on your defined desired state, it will detect that somebody has manually changed the port number to 30. It will detect it, and that based on the manifest, it will recorrect that port number to 22. So in VCSC, we read that stuff and we give you the visibility across it.
What if there is a file system level change? Is the drift done by a process that's I'm just trying to understand how that works, how it's actually managing what the different.
So the idea is with the drift detection and remediation, right? The scope of this is what you have defined in your Puppet manifest file. So for example, in Puppet manifest file, if you have defined the file permission and some process changed it, then of course Puppet will remediate it. So at that level, we are just providing integration with Puppet so that you can have that sort of visibility right into your cloud management platform.
Okay, and will the drift work? I'm sorry, I have multiple questions. I apologize. I said I had two.
Sure, sure.
Will the drift work for a system that is not built using the configuration management? For example, if you have an existing, can you
yes.
understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. So the answer to that is no. So that drift detection and remediation we provide with the integration of Puppet. So if the system is not on Puppet Radar, then it won't work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question.
Sure.
If anyone has else, I'll wait.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Remember the guy who didn't like his job, the backup person? So how long did it take for him to for you to get to the point? You know, I don't know, maybe you don't know this, for him to actually implement the solution, the service, and then for him to be happy? What would be the time frame?
So it depends on a lot of factors, right? It depends on what you're trying to achieve, how much expertise you have in the house, because I have seen customers who don't have that developer expertise, most of the system admin type of workshop. And if you don't have that expertise in house, you can work with our professional services organization and they can build that advanced service for you. Or the other way to do is go through the documentation and figure out how you can build it. So it depends on the use case and what you're trying to achieve with that advanced service designer. Please go ahead.
You mentioned earlier it's possible to provide OS configuration data. How is that?
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
You mentioned it was possible to send configuration data to Puppet. How are you doing that? Is it through an EMC or updating the console?
So Danny, do you want to take that question? It's mainly related with the implementation.
So there's like two options that we use, depends which side you're using for integration. So we have application services that we get like a manifest file on Puppet Master. So that's how we do the node classification. In the one that you saw, for example, using the workflows with the Vimeo orchestrator. So this case is using the Rake API. So it's like whatever using console or dashboard, depends on the product you're using.
Maybe last question. Sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing people. Okay. I think that's it then. Thanks guys for joining us, and definitely I have more and more demos. Please check us out at VMware booth because I have demos of different functionalities I talked about. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us for the session today.